We have a question from Ridwhan Mohammed in regards to tires. His question is, are there specific tire pressures for specific tracks? That is a very big question, so let's break it up. Race tires have very specific hot pressures, which are to be done when you've done about 3 laps. Come in, check the hot pressure, and then you're basically set for the rest of the day. Street track tires have recommended pressures where you will go out, come in, and set them hot at about 5 to 7 psi over cold pressures. So a lot of people set them first thing in the morning cold and then go ahead and check a hot pressure and call it good for the rest of the day, because every time you check pressure you let air out. Over a period of time, that increases the contact patch on the ground, which increases the heat in the carcass from friction of the tire being worked on the street or the track or during a race. So your answer is no. What you need to bear in mind is there are certain pressures that work for tires based on recommendations. However, given your speed, given your style, and given how aggressive you are at the track, especially with a street track combination tire, you will work around with pressures that work for you, not just the track. So for example, let's take some Bridgestones, let's take some R10s, which is their latest and greatest tire. Recommended hot is 28 to 30 in the rear and 32 to 34 in the front. So depending on whether you're a heavy trail breaker that's going to put a lot of heat into the front tire, you may want to run a slightly higher hot pressure so the carcass doesn't deflect or deform under aggressive trail braking. If you are a 1000cc rider and you're extremely aggressive with the throttle and you point and shoot the bike, you may need to go for 30 hot psi in the rear tire to stop the sidewall collapsing when you accelerate away from the corner. So there's a lot to be learned from experimenting with pressure, but you also need to experiment with pressure based on ambient temperature and track temperature. So race tires are very specific in their hot pressures, and in general they are pretty fixed. But street track tire combinations, where they're built for both purposes, you can play with those a little bit to see what works best for you. And again, your ideal gain is somewhere between 5 and 7 psi. But as always, whenever we talk about tire pressure, all of this is utterly and completely worthless unless you know your gauge is 100% accurate, and you know that and have validated that a couple of days before you use it at the track. Because when you transport it, it can get hit, banged around in a toolbox, and the settings can change completely. So hopefully that answered your question. If you have questions, please send them to me through Facebook to Dave Moss Tuning. Thanks.